So in this episode, I talked to Amy Davies of PGC, Precision Global Consulting, effectively about how UK firms can go and conquer the United States. What's really interesting as well is that Amy's fairly new to PGC. She's very experienced in the industry, but this is very much her first venture into the US. So we look at her experience of seeing what's different, why everything's bigger, why everything's better, the do's and don'ts of going into the US. So really interesting episode. I hope you enjoy it.
So welcome to the RecWired podcast. And for this week, we've got PGC's Precision Global Consulting's very own Amy Davies. Welcome to the podcast, Amy.
Oh, thank you, Andy, and thank you for having me.
You've been really busy, actually. I'm surprised you got the time to spare us, jet setting around the globe.
It does feel a little bit that way. I have had a crazy few weeks. I was in Austin last week, and then at the back end of this week, we're spending some time in London, getting all our UK team together. So it's been a pretty wild ride the last few weeks.
Fantastic, because PGC were in New York and they've moved down to Austin.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So we were always, for a long time based in New York. That's where our headquarters were. And in January of last year, we moved our headquarters to Austin, Texas. For the same reasons, lots of other big brands have moved to that space. And it's also one of the most popular growing states for recruiters too. So we moved our HQ there. We've still got an operations hub in the UK. But I think one of the most interesting things that's happened is we've totally embraced remote working and being able to use it to grow the business very quickly in terms of headcount and also to extend our offering. So I think at the back end of last year, we had around 19 people spread across 2 countries. And today, I think we're around 37 and growing up to 40 by the end of this year. And we're spread across 3 countries. I am including Ireland in that, and 13 states. So, we've completely changed as a company from being, everyone based in the New York office to now this totally diverse business that's had rapid growth. So yeah, we've been busy.
To the uninitiated, why would you start a business in Austin versus New York? Okay. So what are those reasons that all these recruiters are going to Texas?
So first of all, you've had a migration of huge names. So Google, Amazon, Oracle, lots of others, Tesla, who've all moved into Austin. A lot of their headquarters are based there. I mean, being there last week and seeing some of these buildings, flagship buildings for these brands was amazing, and so much more development going on. And one of the reasons they've moved there is for the equivalent of corporation tax. So taxes in the state are so much lower than that of the other popular or historically popular states such as California and New York. So first of all, the taxes are much lower, not only from a corporation perspective, but also personal tax as well. So in terms of, your employees, it's a better deal all around. For us, all the tech giants have moved there, which is why recruiters are moving there. Obviously, technical and digital space recruiters are moving there. But we also have our own in-house technology, which is called Precision. And so we really wanted to be able to access some of the talent within Austin for tech to be able to develop our technology out further. So I'd say they were our 2 main drivers for moving into Austin. And also it's just an amazing city. Someone described it to me that it's London in the sun, and I wouldn't quite say it's London after being there last week, but it's certainly heading that way.
So while I was looking at your LinkedIn last week, all I saw was pictures of you were eating.
Everyone has said this to me, even on my other social media accounts, like, did you do any work? It just looked like you ate food for the entire week. But yeah, it was a food experience. Just the portions are huge, the choices are endless. But my favorite experience was going to the Texan barbecue. People have always said no one does a barbecue like Texas does a barbecue, and I can honestly attest to that. I literally held in my hands a tray of 9 pounds worth of meat. And yeah, it was crazy. The meat was the best meat I've ever tasted. And yeah, it was amazing. Portions were huge. Yeah, I think I nearly rolled home, I have to say. I ate that much, I could feel my skin stretching. But yeah, the food was great.
So is this the first time you travelled in a while?
Yeah. I mean, I've travelled personally when obviously the restrictions lifted, but for business travel, it's the first trip I've made since, before COVID. And I think most people will know Biden lifted the borders, reopened the borders on the 8th of November, and we flew out on the 13th. So we were very eager to be reunited with our US colleagues.
The other thing I noticed on your post last week as well, you said it shouldn't be surprising that a mother is travelling.
Yeah, I had quite a reaction to that post actually, Andy.
Was everyone worried that the children were just left there fending for themselves or something?
So a couple of things. One, it almost felt like people were saying I'd deserted my kids, which is crazy. And two, just the fact that people still think, I don't know, subconsciously maybe they think that it's the mother's responsibility to always stay home and it's actually the man that travels. I have a hugely supportive husband, I should say. I need to give him credit because he really, provides me with support that allows me to travel and hit some career goals that I wanted. And, one of the reasons I moved to PGC was about that international experience, not just traveling, but I just mean generally, in the marketplace. So yeah, it's funny how people think the mums should stay at home and the dad should be the ones that travel. But we've definitely booked the trend in this house here.
Oh, fantastic. But it shouldn't be an unusual thing.
No, it absolutely shouldn't. And yeah, I actually feel okay traveling knowing the kids are with my husband because they're safe, they're secure, they're happy. I suppose the only thing I worry about is my daughter's hair for school. It's not quite at my standard, but I can let that go.
Yeah, you can brush it out in a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
I've been there. So a few months on, how long have you been at PGC now?
Oh gosh, it's actually been 8 months now, would you believe? Feels like I joined, just a couple of months ago. It's gone so fast and a huge learning curve for me.
I was going to say, what's the big things? Because you've come from probably one of the biggest, I think, one of the biggest, certainly one of the top 3 payroll accountancy firms in the UK, to PGC, which is still, as you say, 20, 30 people, challenger brand in the States and up against some big competition in the States as well. So what's those big learns?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I really enjoyed the last company that I was at. We built a hugely successful sales and marketing team. I think there was at one point around 74 across the functions that we managed there, and we had some incredible highs and some incredible growth records. And I still love all the team that are there today. For me, I really wanted to expand my international knowledge. I felt like, not that I'd learned all there was to learn about the UK market, but I'd done it for 6 years. I knew kind of the payroll, the umbrella models, the accountancy side inside out, and it was time for me to kind of spread my wings. But absolutely, moving into a company that's smaller, we were huge where we were, and then moving over to PGC. Honestly, one of the biggest things that I've learned is how much more you can achieve with less. The bigger a company becomes, the more obstacles and challenges there are to overcome, the more kind of corporate red tape, if you like, that you need to cut through, the more internal meetings you attend and you just get dragged in internally. What I've really thrived at PGC is, just seeing how much they've achieved with, far less than what we had. And it's really challenged me actually to think about where has there been waste in the past, and where can I best spend my time focusing on to get the best end results. So it's been a huge change and transition for me, but I'm absolutely thriving.
I think that's the thing I like most about consulting. You come in, you do your bit, you add value, and then you leave. And the nice thing about that is you don't do the internal meetings, you don't do the whole politics. You can just come in and do your thing, and then
absolutely. And I think what's really great that's different is, the US as a market is far less saturated than the UK. And actually, it's the same for suppliers into the recruitment space too. So a lot of what we have is inbound. There's very little outbound done. So when a client comes to you, they genuinely want your help. You know, you're not trying to sell anything to them at all. And so what we're able to do is be very consultative and really educate our clients on the US market, where the opportunities exist and lie, and then strategies to expand and what the different roadmaps are that we've seen clients do. I mean, you've done it yourself, Andy, with S3, so you will know, but there are different ways to approach that market. And so we're able to add all of that great value up front with clients. And then, you know, I do attend internal meetings, I will say, with clients once they've signed with us, but usually it's because, you know, they've grown, they're expanding to new states. They want my advice on what state should they open their next office in, you know, where are the latest opportunities. So again, it's like really great way to consultatively support your client's growth in the US.
I think the challenge for you guys as well is where you're the sort of go-to for a UK recruiter wanting to land there, wanting to know things are being done properly. You're almost having to make that market as well. You're almost having to encourage people to go and start in the US. It's not scary, as opposed to, you know, them coming to you once they've worked that out.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, usually we will always kind of start our first interactions with our clients or prospective clients at that point as, you know, what are your goals? What are you setting out to achieve? You know, what's achievable based on what you've currently got? And then we really try to tailor our advice to set them up to win. And that looks different for every client. But you're right. Ultimately, we're there to make the complex simple. The US is one of the most complex markets to navigate in the world. It's unlike any other market. You know, we always talk about the globe plus one, and the one is obviously the US. So we try to make that simple for them, and we try to do it in a way that really elevates them and gives them a platform to expand into the US quickly if they want to do it quickly. But also then to sustain their growth and to support them on the journey as well, not just their initial kind of starting point.
So if I'm a UK recruiter and I'm looking to go to the States, what's the big headlines that you need to know? What's the big differences? Okay.
First of all, the market is so much bigger, like it blow your mind. So I know in 2020 globally, the staffing market generated $445 billion in revenue. 31% of that was in the US alone. The next biggest market, believe it or not, was Japan with 15%, just 15. So the US is over here with double the market share that the second leading country in the world has. So it's huge. And second of all, there's nowhere near as many recruiters in the US as actually what there is in the UK. So the UK has had 9% global market share in 2020 and around about 33,000 active recruitment agencies. Compare that to the US. First of all, the space is bigger. We've got 31% market share and at our last count around 22,000 recruitment agencies. So it's far less saturated. And because of that, recruiters are much more valued in the US. It's a really value add service, much more consultative, it's a much more respected profession. And I say that a bit tongue in cheek than what we'd find in the UK. But the other biggest thing, not only the market opportunity, the other biggest thing is just how complex it is. And the reason for that is because of the landscape, because from a legislative, tax and cultural perspective, you have kind of federal, state and local. So you have everything that exists right across the states and then everything that changes state by state. And then in your larger state, you have then local laws or local taxes. And that three-dimensional system is what makes it so complex. And, you know, we talk to our clients a lot about you need to think about this as if you're entering 50 countries, because that's first of all the size of it, and it's also the complexity because everything is different state by state. One last little one, just to kind of really demonstrate how different it is. You know, 50, we say treat it as 50 countries because it's 50 economies. Last year, if California, which is a state, was counted as a country globally, it would have been the 5th largest country for GDP globally. And that's just one state that you can access out of 50. So, when they say everything's bigger and better in the US, never mind food and barbecues, in terms of the opportunity, it's so, so true.
So your advice to recruiters is just go for it. And it's all there. The market opportunity is amazing.
Yeah, it's there for the taking. It's a very buoyant market. The trends are quite similar to the UK, actually. It's just bigger. There are different ways to expand. So yeah, we would go through what works for, their scenario, their setting, their circumstances, their culture of their business. We would give them a roadmap to expansion that would work for them and set them up to win.
So all the talk around the LinkedIn campfire is what Dave's going to do now after you bumped him off. So
can I just say,
you learned everything he had, then he's like, don't need you anymore, Dave.
No, we did not bump Dave off. In fact, it's the opposite way around. Dave chose to leave us, and honestly, I can't tell you how much of a legend David Ellis is at PGC. He's so respected by everyone and hugely by myself as well. He's actually built an amazing reputation and platform for PGC in this market over the last 3 years. And I'm sure you can testify to that as well, Andy. Yeah. And he leaves us in great shape. And he's actually built a platform and a framework for us to kind of replicate and duplicate with our team now. So, huge kudos to Dave. We don't want to lose him. But what he's setting out to do, which I'm not going to reveal because I'll leave that to him, is hugely exciting, and we're all really happy for him actually and really excited. Yes, we wish he was staying, but we can't be too disappointed for too long because we know actually he's going for something that's going to be really great for him.
He's one of the good guys, isn't he?
He is. I mean, I said it on LinkedIn, Dave Ellis is known for all the good reasons. He's a standout character. He's been amazing with me since I joined PGC. And he'll forever be remembered. He's had such an impact on the business.
Oh, that's very sweet.
He'll probably watch this and message me and say, I'm really cringing at what you said.
No, that would just be an added bonus. So
he knows I'm his biggest fan, so yeah.
Okay, so what does the next year hold for you when we have this conversation in a year's time? What will we be talking about, do you think?
One thing I would say is we're not going to focus on any other global markets. We've always stayed true to North America. We've really fine-honed our skills in that space, our expertise. So you will still see us only focusing on North America at the end of next year.
And it's Canada as well, just to let everyone know.
So US.
Because Canada's a great market as well. I mean, people just seem to focus on the US.
Canada's a great market and it's growing. What I would say is it's a secondary market to the US. So often recruiters expand into the US and very, very quickly get opportunities in Canada, either because the client's got an office there or often because they're recruiting remote workers, and Canada's got a great talent skill set. So we also look after Canada. So end of next year, we'll still be focusing on that North American market. I would say that we'll be bigger again. Our growth trajectory is looking pretty great, and so many clients are doing so well. And really for us, it's like you were saying earlier, it's not just about the beginning part of a client's journey, meeting them at the front end and telling them how great the US is. It's seeing it through all the way to the end with a client, because that life cycle of a staffing firm expanding to the US evolves so much, and it all depends on the velocity of their growth. And we really handhold them from the beginning right until the very end, and we support them according to what their needs are. So I would also say that I know our clients will have phenomenal growth next year, and then it's not just about new clients for us, it's really about supporting our existing clients as well. So yeah, and you never know, might see Dave Ellis pop up again, who knows?
Might do. Never know. It depends whether you buried him, really. So and I think what's really good, when we started RecWired, you were just naturals that we wanted to get on the team sheet. I've known Adam for a number of years.
Yeah.
Obviously helped us set up our W2. And you're the go-to in the sector. I think your challenge is you've got people with very deep pockets going around, and so it'd be interesting to see how you get in the next year. But as partners, you're absolutely great, because any of our members that are going to you guys, we just know they're going to get great advice, good service, and very tailored as well. To they're not just going to be a number.
Yeah, I think, I mean, I love competition. It keeps everyone on their toes, doesn't it? And it keeps you constantly thinking about evolving. I think what PGC have always done great is we're relevant and we keep everything original to the client's needs. And obviously we provide that consultancy around US expansion. So I can only see us growing more over that year and kind of looking over our shoulder at the competition. And you know, we're the originals, we're the OGs of the US expansion space, and you know, we want to stay that way. We've had over 20 years experience in this sector. No one has what we have when it comes to that. So yeah, so it's only upwards from here.
So as well as being OGs, if people want to talk to you about their W2s, their T4s, their corp to corp, their independent contractors, you're the people to come to, yeah?
Absolutely. And you know, kind of we just have a kind of call at the very beginning with clients. Often that first call, we don't actually get round to talking about exactly what PGC do. We give them a good feel, because it's all education at the early stages. You know, you're explaining what is a W2, what is a T4. No question is a stupid question. And it's making the complex simple. As I said, it's really putting it in a way and in the context that clients understand. And even corp to corps, like you said there, you know, worker classification in the US is a huge topic. It's a huge area of risk. And I'm able to kind of talk about IR35 because I know that from the UK perspective, and then put it in the context of the UK just to help them understand it. So yeah, so totally agree.
I think it's actually quite interesting when you look at what's happened in the States with worker classification and then IR35 in the public sector. You can just see that direction of travel towards a sort of more employed model, I think.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, worker classification in the US, which is obviously the equivalent of IR35, you know, if you're to compare the two, the US is about 10 years ahead in terms of legislation, case law, and also the penalties that we've seen. So we're able to guide and advise on that. But you're right, it's totally moved to an employment model. You know, last time we checked, it was around 70%. The whole contingent workforce in the US is through the W2 model. And yeah, so totally agree, it's moving there. So it is interesting as an indicator of what might happen in the UK over the next 10 years.
Right, okay, so that about wraps it up. But if someone wants to get educated on the US, how do they get hold of you, Amy?
So you can reach out to me on LinkedIn, or you can email me at amy.davies, IES, at pgcgroup.com. Or get in touch with Andy, and Andy will give you my phone number.
You can book. I think you can book an appointment with us through our website. So
you can just go on the website and book an appointment with me or one of the team, or just ask you, Andy, and you can give them my phone number.
Fair enough. Okay, well, really good to catch up again, and look forward to seeing you hit all those targets next year.
Oh, thank you, Andy. Take care.
Cheers. Bye.